becomes the call. I put it here because it's appropriate. You follow the flow of thought. Oswald Chambers says the need is not necessarily the call, so you distinguish that, you get into the flow. But now when you come to the place where you overhear the call of God and you're ready to respond, you make the choice, the need is the call. What this means is that the need is the opportunity, it actualizes the call, so that it becomes real. It crystallizes, it concretizes, it clarifies your call. It's the opportunity for you to make it happen. So the need becomes the call. So the general call now becomes a personal call. So it's no longer just some great commission out there somewhere. It's for all of us, you know. If I don't go, it doesn't matter. Somebody else will go. It becomes a personal call. Let's see if we've got anything else on this section before I go. Here am I, send me. God will surely send you when you respond to His call. So those are the things that I want to say on the first great C, conviction. Just spend a little time on the second C, all right? Let's look at the second C. So the first C is conviction. It's about availability. Now the second C I want to touch on is compassion. And the spiritual state or condition is, it's about authenticity. If you don't know what that word means, it means genuine, you know, real, honest, authentic, the real thing, you know, authenticity. I'm just choosing some A words so that it aligns nicely. Doesn't matter if you don't fully follow, just to help us get it. Now let's turn back to our text in Matthew 9. Look at this word compassion a little bit more closely. Let's zoom in on that. What does compassion mean? You'll find in these few chapters, I can pick out at least 3 instances where we're told that Jesus looked on the multitudes with compassion. And this is the first in our text here. Verse 36, right? When He saw the multitudes, He was moved with compassion on them. Now, compassion means simply love in action. It's that emotion which leads you to action, to do something about it. So we should not discount emotion, but emotion which just resides and dwells in itself, it's of no use. We're not talking about the, you know, there's an English word called namby-pamby. You know? It means very soft and flabby, weakly sentimental kind of emotion. We're not talking about that kind of emotion. It's emotion which leads to passion, to wanting to do something about it. It's love in action. Now, if we look here, how did that happen? In verse 35, Jesus went about. So first He went out, He went about. And then in verse 35, He taught in the synagogues, He preached the gospel, He healed the sick. So He went, He ministered. And then in verse 36, when He saw the multitudes, and then He was moved with compassion. So see, that's how it happens. You don't just sit down, close eyes, just keep trying to pump up the feeling. It comes when you go out, you minister, when you see the needs in the multitudes, you begin to be moved with compassion. That's more than just emotion. Now in this first instance, we see Jesus teaching. The context is more teaching. He was preaching and teaching in the synagogues and the gospel outside. Teaching the helpless and the harassed. If you turn into chapter 14, in the incident of the feeding of the 5,000, chapter 14, verse 14. Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was, same thing, he was moved with compassion toward them and healed their sick. Here we see him healing the hurting. In chapter 16 or chapter 15, this is the feeding of the 4,000. Verse 32, chapter 15, verse 32. Then Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat, and I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way. We see him feeding the hungry. So teaching the helpless, feeding the hungry, and healing the hurting. How did Jesus look on the multitudes? It's not just the facts and the figures, nameless faces, all big crowds. He looked at them as unfed, unled, and uncared for people needing the love and salvation of God. This is what it means to be a compassionate church. It's not just trying to reach out to people. Very strong evangelistic churches do that all the time, but the missing dimension is they fail to reach in. It's not just reaching out, but reaching in. You don't want just to be a connecting church. You want to be a caring church. We should not just measure ourselves by the services we provide, but the service we provide. That happens in a business too. Oh, we do all kinds of things. We have this, that, and that. But what is the quality of the service that you provide? Churches must not measure themselves by the number of people coming to their church services, but by the number of people whom the church serves. Do you get that? Now that's not often how we think. Oh, we say, oh, the attendance is so many, the number of people coming to our services. No, the true measure is how many, you can have a church with 5,000, 10,000 congregation. I want to know how many people are served by this church.